Good evening, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ian Oliver. Welcome to Fox Weather. This is America's Weather Tonight. And let's kick things off tonight with a look at the forecast across the country. We've been watching another powerful fall cold front. This is marching across the nation's midsection, and unfortunately, not only does it bring a big cool down, it also brings with it the possibility for some severe weather. Some of that lingers into the overnight hours tonight, and you can see exactly where those rain chances are, from the upper Midwest into the central plains. This is that front moving off to the east. You can see its impact on temperatures. Bismarck, North Dakota, down into the mid-30s tonight. We had some snow in the high terrain of Montana that fell earlier this afternoon as that front continues to march off to the east. But you do see through those areas that I mentioned a few of those storms. It's an isolated severe weather threat. We may see a few of them maintaining their intensity and producing some gusty winds. We'll be watching that for you here on Fox Weather throughout the overnight hours. In the east, it's quiet for now. Partly cloudy skies. Overnight low temperatures in New York City dropping down to around 60. We are watching, though, down in Florida. Some rain chances back in the forecast. Any showers, downpour storms, those will taper off as we move through the overnight hours tonight. But into the middle of the week tomorrow with deeper atmospheric moisture, more afternoon shower and storm chances. And when this front eventually finds its way to Florida, that'll be coming up on Thursday. We'll have to watch for even more elevated rain chances. The possibility of some pockets of heavy rain in southwest Florida as those areas are still fighting just to get the recovery efforts started from devastating Hurricane Ian that was just a couple of weeks back. So in Florida, neighborhoods we know are still recovering from Hurricane Ian's destruction. Groups of volunteers like the St. Bernard Project are on the ground helping homeowners recover and cope with all they have lost. Fox Weather's Will Nunley has more from Naples, Florida.
The process of cleaning up a home after flooding or storm surge in this case is not an easy process, and boy is it not pretty. Just take a look at the front yard of this home. We're in Naples, one of the many homes in this neighborhood that were affected by storm surge, and this is what has to happen. Everything on the front lawn. And by the way, the water that you see in the background, notice how dark this water is. That's because it's likely filled with sewage and all kinds of toxic chemicals. Not the best thing to be working around. But we do have groups of volunteers like the St. Bernard Project, you see them there, that are on the ground helping out homeowners like this. This home in particular, the owner's name is Heidi. She had her parents living here during the storm, and they rode the storm out here. They are both in their 90s. And when the floodwater started to rush in, she helped to carry both of her parents out, helped to rescue both of them, and took them to her home, a little bit higher ground there. You can see it's a little bit different elevation, and was able to save them while getting through the floodwater. And she describes this experience to us, the toll of now having to come in and clean out the house and see the work that this group is doing, because everything has to come out. I'll even show you right here how high the water was outside. This is why they have to come in and take out all the floors, all the drywall, because that's how high the water was coming into this house. So I asked Heidi, and even one of the volunteers, what kind of a toll seeing this and going through this process takes. Take a listen.
I've thrown out pictures of family members from the 1800s. It's quite heartbreaking. But we're alive. Getting them through the floodwater, though, to my home was probably the worst thing I've ever dealt with, more so than the flood itself. Just the scary moments of trying to get them to safety.
There's definitely like a psychological toll that it can take. You know, you're hearing a lot of like vicarious trauma, essentially, from these survivors that lived through this storm. You're there to not only help gut their house out, but like be someone to listen.
And here's a look inside at the work that they're doing. Coming through and removing the drywall has to be several feet high because the drywall soaked up some of that toxic water. But they're doing all this, by the way, for free. This group is one of many that are dedicated to coming in these first few moments after a storm like this and helping people bridge the gap between insurance. They don't have insurance. How can they help? This nonprofit is helping to make those connections and offer a little bit of peace here to these people that are going through so much. It's just an incredible sight to see all around. In Naples, Florida, Will Nunley, Fox Weather.
Search and rescue operations are still taking place as many Floridians are allowed back to their homes nearly 2 weeks after Ian. Survivors worry about everything from looting to insurance. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating was in Fort Myers, Florida. He's got a glimpse at the survivors' biggest concerns.
For the most part, the vast majority of Lee County, where we are, and Charlotte County to the north, the two counties most heavily impacted by Hurricane Ian, life is getting relatively normal. About 99% of people do have their power back now. But for those that are close to the beach and the coast, the Gulf Coast, still a whole lot of cleanup to do. We have returned to San Carlos Boulevard, where we were 2 Fridays ago. And there were all of these boats littered all over the roads, the four-lane road. All of these cars and trucks you're looking at right now, these are primarily contractors. Traffic is actually insane right now. It took us an hour and 45 to get here. What used to be a 45-minute drive from Naples. It's all primarily contractors and residents going in to continue to see what's salvageable and clean up. So these 3 boats here, they got Captain Tony's fishing a charter boat, that's for deep sea fishing, and then the 2 on the left, those are Captain Mike's 2 hotel boats. All of them were over to your left in the water in the marina, but then the hurricane came and the 10 to 12 foot storm surge swept all the way across this boulevard, lifted these 50-ton boats onto the roadway. So Captain Mike's got a huge crane coming today. He's got a little baby crane, but the big crane is on its way. And they're going to actually hoist this huge hotel boat, the one on the left, carry it over and drop it back into the water. This is estimated to be a 3-day operation. Now take a look at Sanibel Island. That island remains cut off from the mainland. If you don't have a boat, you're not getting in or out. The bridge is just devastated, broken in 5 different places, but the governor says they will have that up and running by the end of the month. But you can see this drone video. I mean, there is still wreckage everywhere. In the words of so many who have been to the island, the whole of Sanibel is going to essentially have to be rebuilt. Taking a look a little bit towards the north on that, Pine Island, Matlacha is a small little island that connects the mainland to Pine Island. Residents are allowed to get back to Pine Island, and the steadfast people who refuse to evacuate, well, they remain there. At least they now have bridge access. It was repaired in 3 days. So you take a bridge from the mainland to Matlacha, you take another bridge from Matlacha to Pine Island. So at least those people are getting services. There's been a grocery store that's reopened, a Publix. So people are pretty happy. As for search and rescues, Lee County, Charlotte County, they continue to do this on a daily basis, basically going into deep waters, looking at submerged cars and boats, just in case there are any recovery jobs to do, people who did not survive the storm. But to date, they have not found any people in any of those boats or vessels. By the way, looting always a concern in every hurricane in the days after. 17 people in Lee County total so far have been arrested for looting.
Take a look at this now. A wicked dust devil in Arkansas. This is a huge one. You can see it kicking up a debris cloud, an awful lot like a tornado. You can also see a guy approaching this funnel coming up in a second here, which we can't in good conscience recommend. Now, these form in a completely different way than tornadoes that you might expect in a proper sense, ones that drop out of a supercell thunderstorm. These form when you have rapid rising air. That can oftentimes come on a bright blue sky day like you see behind that big dust devil, heats up the surface, you get the rising air that develops some spin, and there you go. That's still a well-formed cyclone, though, and it can be dangerous. So, again, like that guy in the video, you don't want to just march up to one of those. Yeah, listen to this now. That's golf ball-sized hail pouring down on drivers' cars in Fort Stockton, Texas. Clearly, that was making for a hazardous drive. We had reported wind gusts there up to 61 miles per hour. Those were severe storms that moved through West Texas, generating a flash flooding concern, and clearly some large hail there. And finally, sometimes everything lines up just right for the perfect shot, and this is one of those moments. The full Hunter's moon made a perfect backdrop for this SpaceX Falcon 9 launch in Florida. The Falcon 9 was headed up to space with a couple of communication satellites, and if you need a reminder, the atmosphere is a fluid. Watch the rocket's plume cross the moon there. It looks like a river in the sky. So, yeah, you get a fantastic full moon. You get a Falcon 9 rocket flying by, and overall, that's a pretty good looking a coupling there, making for just about a perfect photograph. Awesome stuff there. Let's take a look at what's happening across the country. The forecast moving into the day tomorrow. This is for Wednesday. That same front that we were talking about with some impacts into the overnight hours tonight continues its progression off to the east. And as it does so, it brings more of those same threats. Heavy rain, the possibility of some strong and severe thunderstorms. These are moving into the Great Lakes region, the Midwest, and then down into the lower Mississippi River Valley. You can see the forecast becoming more unsettled. Possibility we'll see some gusty winds with the strongest of these storms, a little more hail possible, and a very low-end tornado threat. It's not widespread, but we'll be watching that for you very closely here at Fox Weather throughout the day on Wednesday for any indication that some of these storms show some signs of rotation. Now, as this front continues to progress farther off to the east, that heavy rain threat eventually arrives in the mid-Atlantic and the northeast. 1 to as much as 3 inches of rain. Some areas locally could pick up to 4 inches of rain. That'll generate a flash flooding concern toward the end of this week. And also, as I mentioned, we do have the increased rain chances in those areas in southwest Florida trying to recover from Hurricane Ian. Unfortunately, the coverage of showers and thunderstorms expected to become much more widespread on Thursday. That's going to do it for us here. Don't forget the latest forecast. You can download the Fox Weather app and watch all of us on all of your favorite connected TV devices. I'm Ian Oliver. We'll catch you next time here on Fox Weather.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.